It's beautiful up here this evening.
I bet.
All right. I think we're good to go whenever everybody's here.
We got a couple more minutes. Who's going to be with you tonight, Mary Jane?
Brian and Mike Frederigill, our attorney. And Travis will be online if we need him.
There you go.
I like that.
That's
Now
all
we can say the pledge in style.
Yeah, on like 5 minutes notice. That was a good job.
How's it going, John Curtis?
There. When did I move? Okay.
Norman, how are you?
Hi, Mayor. Good. How are you doing?
Hey,
Hi, Mayor.
Ryan. Hi, Barb.
Barb.
Hi, Carmen.
Hi. Who said that?
That was Jimmy.
Hi, Jimmy. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You know, you look
Good,
like you're at the top of the world up there in like a bell tower or like, you know, reigning supreme up there. Are you in the tippy top of the building? Are you?
At sunset, Carmen.
Just in my office at home, man.
Ah, gotcha. I'm just hoping you all don't clearly see my son's Legos behind me because I'm in his study. So
Is that
There you go.
Are you going to get him? Did you see the new Lamborghini Legos? See that?
so they made those.
They're coming out soon. $380. It's
What?
replica
Okay.
engine and everything. Come on, Carmen. Holding a little bit.
All right. We'll think about it, Mayor.
Yeah. $380 for Legos.
I know, that's crazy.
Okay, I don't see Art on.
Bob had a little trouble too. He's trying to log on right now.
Okay. Hi, Genevieve.
How about Bob Boland?
And Bob. Yeah, we're missing Bob too.
Bob's having technical difficulties, but he should be joining us shortly.
He might have had to upgrade his Zoom. I know I had to upgrade mine.
I
Before
think that's
log
what it
in.
is.
Yeah, took a couple minutes.
I don't.
Hello.
We first have a.
How about Scott? Where's Scott at?
And Scott too. Yeah, we don't even have a quorum. 1, 2, 3, 4. We do have a quorum, but I'd like for everybody to be here for the special meeting. Let John try to get him connected here. How's it going, George?
Doing all right. I had an ill-timed dog walk. I had to kind of sprint home, so looking a little flushed. That's why.
And Genevieve's in her car with the sunroof open. Well, it's open. You're on mute, Genevieve.
Hello.
There you go.
Hey,
Mr. Bordoni, how are you?
Good, Mayor. How are you?
Good. John, you still trying to get Art and Bob on? Andy, how are you?
Scott Pennell's not there either, huh?
Yeah, not yet.
Did you hear from Scott, Andy? He usually calls me if he's not going to be with us. Unless he did like I did, I looked at the work session. I didn't even look at the time on the special meeting. I looked at the work session. It said 6:15. I was like, oh, I got plenty of time. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, I better get in there.
You want me to give him a call?
Here, I can do that real quick. Good idea.
Just in case they thought it was 7. There he is.
I think Bob is having a little trouble. He'll be here in a minute. He's going to try to call in, I think.
Hi, Scott.
Did you ever get back with Art, or is he still having trouble?
I haven't even, let me try it one more time here.
Is it hot down in the city, Carmen?
What's that, Mayor?
Is it hot down in the city?
Yes.
Not too
Very much
bad,
so.
really. We got a pretty good downpour earlier.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
I'm
it
jealous.
was pretty hard for a few minutes.
I would welcome that. So, Mayor, this tonight wasn't or isn't a night where Art is coming to City Hall?
No, we got him a computer. So
Okay.
we can do it so he can do it from home. He was on our last meeting a little late, but he ended up being on. So
Okay.
we're
Good.
still, I guess Bob's going to call in.
Art didn't answer.
Okay, let's see if Bob gets on real quick.
He's calling in right now. He should be in a second.
Doesn't look like we have anybody from the public on.
Mary Jane, we can't hear you.
Oh, yeah. Mike, anything new from Governor Polis yet today?
I've not heard anything. Again,
He renewed it.
He renewed.
The Safer at Home, he renewed it till July 1st.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
when did you hear that, Diane?
I got it on my phone.
Oh,
My understanding was he extended the existing order through Thursday, at which point they'll issue a modified order. Draft guidance is out on outdoor recreation and stuff.
9 News says Safer at Home extended till July 1st.
okay. Well, there it is. Well, where's Bob? Sorry to keep everybody waiting.
John, any word from Bob?
You're on mute.
He was supposed to be calling in. Let me call him one more time here.
I'm forwarding you all what I received from CCI about what Polis did today. I wouldn't blame 9 News for getting it wrong. It's pretty hard to get a feel for what the governor's doing until you see it in writing.
There's Art.
Short-term rentals are allowed to reopen.
Hello,
Yes.
Art. Can you hear us? You're on mute, Art.
How about now?
There you go. There you
Oh,
go.
man, this damn technology, it's great.
Good. We're just waiting on Bob. George, did you send an email with that on there?
Yeah, I forwarded a couple of emails. Looks like CDP took action on short-term rentals, and the governor extended safer at home through Thursday while they work on guidance for a series of other sectors.
The rafting and the tours, all that hasn't come out yet, George.
There's draft guidance for it. And I think that they're asking for comment by noon Wednesday, and they plan on releasing an order by Thursday.
Bob will be here momentarily. He had some technical difficulties.
Mike, Andy, I think you guys had tried to put me first on the agenda, but I'm happy to go back in the queue given the number of people that are here with Mary Jane to talk about whatever you guys are talking about. Whatever you guys want to do.
Okay, yeah. Okay, if you don't mind, we can do that. All right, Bob, waiting on you.
Mayor,
Yes?
not sure in what order you want to take things, but given Bob's absence, perhaps you could convene and proceed with the Argo issue because he can't participate in that anyway.
Work session first. Good.
I don't know. Up to you, sir.
Okay, well, let's do that then. Let's go ahead and start our, you're saying go ahead and start one of our work session items, Carmen?
If you want, I just hate to keep everybody waiting for,
After, there he
Oh.
is.
there we go. Is that Bob?
That's Bob. Let's wait
Okay.
till we hear him. Can you hear us, Bob? Can you hear us, Bob?
Hello, yeah, can now, are there others having problems?
Now we got turn off. There you go. All right. We've got everybody now. Okay, let's get going. First thing tonight, we're going to be doing a special meeting real quick, and we'll come out of that, and then we'll go into our work session. So it is Monday, June 1st, 2020, 6:15 p.m. And can I have roll call, please, for our special meeting?
Michael Hellman,
Here.
Scott Pennell,
Here.
Chuck Harmon,
Here.
Bob Boland. Bob, you're on mute.
You're on mute, Bob.
I am here.
Okay.
Yay.
Sorry.
John Curtis,
Here.
Art Peccavelli,
Here.
Jim Clark.
Here.
Okay, please stand with us for the Pledge of the Allegiance. John's got a surprise for us.
Oh,
All right, I pledge the allegiance
Flag
of the United
United
States
States. of America.
and to the
Republic which stands
one
Nation
Under God,
under God.
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty
with liberty and justice for all.
All right, please be seated. Thank you. We have an agenda tonight. Do I have a motion, please?
I would move that we approve the agenda for the June 1st, 2020 meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Who was our second?
Art.
Okay,
Arturo Toscanini.
any discussion?
Mayor,
Yeah,
this is Andy. Mayor,
Yes,
it's Andy. I do have a request to amend the agenda.
okay.
I would like to add a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with Clear Creek County leasing to the city certain real property for public parking. This would be at the former lumberyard site until July 15th.
So July 15th, okay, resolution to, say that again, Andy?
A resolution, it's a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement, IGA, with Clear Creek County, leasing to the city certain real property for public parking. This would be at the former lumberyard site.
And that is resolution number 16.
Okay, got it. That'll be
And
that.
Diane, we've got, looks like another resolution about the nuisance. Is that going to be ordinance number 17?
I think it's just for discussion tonight.
Okay, so we don't need a number on that one. All right.
Okay, we need to approve the agenda with the amendment. Can I get that from you, Chuck?
I would move that we approve the agenda as amended for June 1st, 2020 meeting.
Your second, Arthur?
Yep, I second.
Okay, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, raise your hand. All right, motion passes. All right. With that, can we get a motion on the resolution 15, please?
I would move that we approve resolution number 15, series 2020. Discussion and possible action on resolution number 15, series 2020. A resolution authorizing the temporary closure of city streets to use for pedestrian travel and outdoor business operations during the COVID-19 reopening period under certain circumstances.
Do I have a second?
Again.
Motion and a second. Discussion? No discussion. Roll call, please.
Michael Hillman,
Yes.
Scott Pennell,
Yes.
Chuck Harmon,
Yes.
Bob Boland,
Yes.
John Curtis,
Yes.
Art Cacavelli,
Yes,
Jim Clark.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Did anybody get a note on the resolution 16? I wrote it down, so I'll do it. I'll make a motion to approve resolution 16, a resolution approving an IGA with Clear Creek County leasing to the city certain property to Idaho Springs until July 15th, 2020. Do I have a second?
Second.
Scott Pennell's a second. Discussion.
why through just this 15th? Is that we couldn't get any longer, or is there something going on thereafter?
I agree.
Well, right now, Art, they think that at that time that they're going to be putting a shovel in the ground over there,
Oh, okay, all right.
having construction by then.
Oh, okay. I thought so. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Yeah, it's not like we have all kinds of traffic right now. So I don't know. I don't know why we spend all this money to do this.
Spent money for what?
Doing all this, I mean, we're gonna have to insure it, right? Gonna have to have insurance on it.
Well, that's just the writer, isn't it?
Yeah, the city will just need to provide a certificate of insurance to the county to use the parking lot. There won't be any additional cost.
Yeah, John, this is just basically re-upping the agreement we had last year and the year before. It's basically the same agreement with a drop dead date on it.
Okay.
Okay. Any more discussion, please? Roll call?
Michael Hillman,
Yes.
Scott Pennell,
Yes.
Chuck Harmon,
Yes.
Bob Boland,
Yes.
John Curtis,
Yes.
Art Cacavelli,
Yes,
Jim Clark.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, council. At this time, it is 6:21, and I need a motion to adjourn.
Move we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Again.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Thanks, council, for that. And we're only 6 minutes late on our work session. We did pretty good. Okay, real fast, we're gonna go ahead and just kind of go in order. George, the county has asked the city for a letter of support for the health clinic that they have proposed. They are currently doing some fundraising, and as always, I always come to council for a ask of a letter of support, and make sure that all the council agrees. If somebody didn't want to, I always look at it, that we're one body, and the only way that I like to and move forward with a letter of support for projects or anything else is to get consensus and everybody on council. So with that, I've asked somebody from the county to come and answer some questions about what the project, where we're at with it, and hard questions are open for discussion as well. George already told me that he's expecting some hard questions to be asked, and he's prepared to try to give the best answer he could. So George, thanks for being with us tonight to talk to us, and we're just going to kind of open it up and just kind of give us an update what's going on, how this is going to help fundraising and having the support from City Council of Idaho Springs supporting this and how it will help the funding of this project.
Yeah, happy to do so. Thanks, Mike, and members of City Council for considering this request. What we have in front of you, just like Mike said, is a request for a letter of support for the construction of the Collaborative Care Center. I know that we've talked a lot about this, and I know you have a lot on the agenda. So I'm going to err on the side of saying less and giving more time for your questions. I invite you guys to ask any questions that are on your mind. You're not going to offend me, and I think it's good to get it all out in the air and move forward in unison here. And Mike, I appreciate that we're doing this on a consensus basis. So just a brief update. Of course, after the failure of the Health Services District, two things were very clear to Clear Creek County. One is that our voters didn't want to see a major tax expenditure or a new permanent tax to get this building built. The other thing is that they didn't want to see a new layer of government that they were supposed to be also holding accountable. We all know there are enough layers of government for us to try to pay attention to with all the special districts and cities and counties and everything else. So we sharpened our pencils and we decided to fundraise for this thing. We have had pretty good success so far. It's a total project cost of around $5.2 million. Today we have $3.7 million in current commitments. As we are moving forward with a number of funders, the support of the City of Idaho Springs, particularly the unanimous support of the City Council of Idaho Springs, will mean a lot to those funders and will help us get across the finish line. And so I want to be very clear that that's what this ask is for you guys to support us in our fundraising efforts and in the construction of this building. And that the effect of that ask is going to be that we will be much more able to have success with our donors moving forward and accomplish our goal of getting this built with entirely philanthropy-based money. So with that, I welcome any questions you all have.
George?
Yeah, Jim?
So
Go ahead.
this was obviously voted down by everybody in the county. And yet you guys as the county exercised the rights that you had the right to do to snuff out all the members of the City of Idaho Springs, and do what you were going to do, period, regardless of whatever, with the land. And then now you're coming to council with a letter of recommendation. So if that's not a spit in the council's face or the city's face, I'm not real sure what is. We've got 2 clinics in Evergreen, 2 ERs, and also a brand new one in Golden that's a mere 18 miles away. That's a 24/7 facility as well. So I'm not sure how the county could, spin this around to now a good thing for everybody after it was a my way or the highway thing with the county in the early stages up until now.
Okay, yeah. First, on the topic of the way that we chose to navigate land use law to get a building permit. I agree with you. I think it was a mistake for us to take that approach. Looking back, I don't think it was the right thing to do. We should have realized that we can't do this without your support one way or another. And so what I think I'm doing here and asking for your support is not spitting in your face again. I hope I'm wiping a little bit of the spit off your glasses. And further, I want to point out that we did so without any intent not to collaborate with the city or meet your requests. We met every request that the planning staff made of us and that the planning commission made of us. I think that a lot of those comments were good and they made the project better. And, you know, it's one of the things, it's one of the decisions I personally regret and look forward to moving forward on. As far as the need for this clinic, I'm happy to address that as well. A statistic that I think most demonstrates the need for this is that in 2018, we found that in spite of Clear Creek County having higher than average rates of people having health insurance, we had lower than average for Colorado for both of these rates of people who saw a doctor in that year. My calculations, which were rough, showed that about 1,000 people in Clear Creek County who had health insurance did not see a doctor. And I think that has everything to do with proximity. Furthermore, we know that Clear Creek County's mental health statistics are well below the state average. We have high rates of mental health issues and drug abuse. One of the things that we know is that when people are suffering mental health issues, they often experience them as physical health issues. And they show up in a doctor's office and a doctor says, hey, you know, maybe you should talk to a therapist. When that therapist is in another building and they've got to make a phone call and they've got to wait for weeks to get an appointment, the rates of following through on that referral are less than 50%. With the model that we have in this building that Centura is doing internally, as well as with our the presence of Jefferson Center for Mental Health and other mental health resources, statistics show that we can get those rates of referral up above 80%. And that's because when a doctor notices a mental health problem, he can walk out of the room and a therapist can walk right into the room. What that's going to do for the mental health of our citizens and the physical health of our citizens is something that I really look forward to as somebody who's suffered these issues myself. I think that it's also something that is good for our economy. I think that our labor force participation rates will increase. Those are also below the state average. And I know, Jimmy, you're an employer. I've been an employer as well. Know how hard it is to find staff. And I think that that can help on that problem too. So I'm probably being too verbose here, but so happy to answer any follow-up as well.
Hey, George, I have a question about the 3.7 million. It seems like that was raised in pretty short order. Could you give me an approximate time frame as far as that fundraising?
I think that the first commitments came from DOLA, and I think they came in 2018. And as a measure of the enthusiasm that outside funders are showing, DOLA did $500,000. Then we went back to them for $1 million. They said that there's no way that you'll convince us that this is worth another $1 million on top of what we gave you, but you're welcome to ask. And Randy Wheelock, who's, you know, if you're looking for somebody to get some people inspired, ask Randy. He went and he did a great presentation and he got the $1 million. Same thing happened with Colorado Health Foundation. They did $500,000 first, and then they just committed last month to a $1 million matching fund. They told us the same thing. They said that, you know, $500,000 is all you're going to get, but you're welcome to ask. And we showed up and we asked, and their board was swayed. And it's because this project has great potential to help our community, and it's being looked at statewide as a model or the next evolution in a model to deliver rural healthcare. So that's why we're attracting so much money so quickly.
So the idea is to have a groundbreaking July 16th. So I guess with 70% of the money, we can move forward on the start of the construction, but there's still about $1.5 million to go. And I just assume that gap will be filled in, you know, before completion.
We are working to fill in that gap now. This letter will go a long ways. The other thing that we've been told by a number of our partners is that of our our potential donors is that they want to see a shovel in the ground before they'll commit. And that's just because people get tired of committing funds and then seeing projects not happen. We are set to begin mobilization on July 15th and break ground sometime in August.
George?
Sure.
I'm just wondering, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but I'm just wanting an explanation. What was the county's thinking when they were leaving the city out for the involvement with the project?
You know, I think that we were being a little tone deaf about the way that it would land on you all, to be frank. I think that when we knew that we were not legally obligated to go in front of city council, and so opted for the more efficient process, thinking that that would be better for everybody. And, you know, it turns out that that was not the case. And that's on us.
Hey, George, one more thing. So, first of all, I appreciate how candid you are and honest you are with your answers. There's you haven't sugarcoated anything and got right to the point, and I appreciate that. And you've also admitted to what the county has done or not done in real face. If we're talking about the majority and everything else, the majority of this was voted down. We know that. That's whatever. So why don't we shift this into, if we're going to spend money or need money or a shortfall, then let's make the county have part in a skate park or horseshoe pits and or a new tennis court or something in that area, in which that's kind of what I see here and everything else. So I never once have read, gosh, now that the skate park's closed, I can't wait for a new medical facility in the middle of town. So maybe we should look at the quote unquote majority and do something decent with a lot that's a necessity or needed. Like I say, we have 2 of those in Evergreen, and there's another one 18 miles down the hill.
As for going with the majority, you know, I guess it's hard to interpret when a bunch of individuals took a vote, what that means in the general sense. What it meant to me, like I said, was that we didn't want a new permanent tax and we didn't want a new permanent layer of government. That voters, I was on that campaign, I heard a lot of people say, hey, look, I think we need this. I agree with you, but I don't want these things. I don't want this new tax. I don't want this new layer of government that I have to hold accountable. And that's what I took from it. And, you know, I mean, when I was campaigning, I campaigned on helping with this version of this. I think what we did is the voters asked us to sharpen our pencils and come back with a better plan. And I think that's what we did. And, you know, if I'm sitting here eating crow, I'll admit that based on the results of this plan, our voters were right. We could have done better, and we are doing better, and that's why we're here. As far as other uses of the facility, I think that we are building a facility that is as small as it can be. I think we're building a facility that has enough parking to make sure that we're not putting parking on the street. And I don't see space left over for the kinds of things you mentioned. We have made sure to build some public convening areas for people who are in town and waiting outside the clinic, so that it will be an aesthetic improvement to town. It'll continue to improve on the pedestrian space in town. And I think you can look to the county to be your supporters in things like getting skate parks done and getting horseshoe pits done, to the extent that we have that authority. There's a lot that the city can do that counties can't. But you can definitely look to me in partnership in these things.
George, I just want you to know that I wholeheartedly agree with the concerns that Scott and Jimmy have expressed tonight about the county doing the runaround the city. But that being said, I do think it's in the best interest of the community to have that health facility here. And I appreciate your candor. And I think kudos go to the $3.7 million that was raised. That was a tremendous amount of money. And it's not any burden on the taxpayer. So, good job on that.
So I would like to speak for a second. As you know, I had run 2 campaigns on providing a health service, a health clinic, a permanent health clinic. When I moved here, there was one that was marginally operating, and it was shortly after that that it went away. To see the need of this in our community and what it would provide, not only for what we are today, but what we're going to be when we grow up. And that means the future of this county, to bringing in some, younger families. Our population is getting older. We've got some affordable housing coming in on Colorado Boulevard. And I wholeheartedly believe that in the best interest of Clear Creek County and Idaho Springs, that this is a good project. I have dealt with not only the current Board of County Commissioners, but I've also dealt through the progress of the idea of a health clinic of past commissioners. Of course, I felt that I personally, as the mayor, had gotten the runaround, not being included in the conversations with bringing this project forward. I have basically not been included. I've asked to be included, and it was a shame that some past county commissioners did not allow that to happen. On the other hand, just like I said, this is about the future of our community. I believe it's a very good project, and that I support it personally, wholeheartedly. And I think that the way that the county is going about fundraising for the cost of the building and the partners that they're looking at putting into that. So again, I'm in support of this. I agree it's a good project. One thing that I would ask you, George, is do we have a commitment from Centura Health at this time that, I would hate for us to be building a building that Centura has been here for about 3.5 years. Of course, COVID-19 has kind of taken away the services that they intended to provide for our community, because we couldn't go into the doctor's office anymore. Where exactly are we with that, and who can this community expect to see moving forward to being our collective care in our collective care facility?
Yeah, so thanks for bringing that up, because it's an important thing to talk about. Centura is committed to this facility in the long term. They came in here, they were the only respondents to a request for proposals about 7 years ago, if my timelines are right, for somebody to come up here and, if we built a building, operate it. They're operating, not all of the building, of course, but to operate the primary care that's in that building. They did so with the belief that they could come here and operate profitably and successfully. And what they've done is outperform their pro formas to date, both in terms of the number of patients that they've had and in what they call the payer mix. There's been a lot of fear that a doctor's office here would receive so much Medicaid and Medicare and not enough self-pay that the clinic would be unsustainable. And what we've seen in the statistics of the existing clinic is that we actually have a lot more self-pay than we thought. And it's been, less unprofitable than they thought they would be in the first years. And just like any business, you know, when you come out of the gate, you're in the red at first. So that's one part of it. As it relates to COVID, I think that's another example of how this facility can serve us better than what we have right now. Part of the reason that they had to close is because they didn't have a physically large enough space to do the social distancing that was mandated on them. Of course, we saw a number of primary care facilities say things like, almost all of them say things like, if you have respiratory symptoms, you can't come here. And it's an unfortunate and frustrating part of the medical system in general, of which I assume many people here have numerous problems and numerous negative personal experiences. So this isn't going to fix healthcare and all of the problems with healthcare. What it will do is get a doctor, get some therapy in this town, and create a more sustainable future for our human services.
Does a certain percentage of this lot need to be for recreation like we do with other projects?
I don't believe so. I know that this project met all of the elements of city code. I don't know that it has a recreation component, so I'm not sure which portion of your code you're referring to. It does have, like, we are utilizing some of the riverfront and putting in some places for some people to hang out and sit, and we're doing attractive landscaping and all that.
John shaking his head.
John, yes, Alan. So that's another thing. Alan and the architect did work through some bumps in the road, and at the end of the day, Alan brought back to us and said they met all the requirements. This is a good project for our community, and it would be wise to move forward if we choose. So yes, it met everything that any development would have to meet.
Okay.
And they were built, and the architect was very willing to work with Alan after like I said, a couple of bumps in the road. But at the end of the day, they came to a good design. I think that's what a lot of the concern was, the design on the building and how it really fit into not only our residential area, but also our historic district that's a block away. So.
Mayor?
Yes.
I just wanted to note that there are still some outstanding building issues that need to be resolved. And so Dan is working on that as well as JDA.
Okay, thank you. All right, council, any more council would like to ask or speak up? And Bob?
Mayor, this is Andy. Did you want to talk about the parking lot at all?
Well, we have been, what Andy is referring to is we have asked and have discussed with the county manager a little bit of the utilization of that, of the parking lot when the facility was closed. And that would be a continuous conversation. Personally, I think that it would be good for us to, not just for the city to use it, but if the city was able to use it, that would put a responsibility on us to kind of monitor that parking lot instead of it sitting there on the weekends and people just using it anyway, willy-nilly. So those are conversations that carry a lot of weight. The county manager has been willing to talk to us about it. And those are some things that in the future and as this project starts to happen, and I think that we can show the benefit of us, the city monitoring that and keeping an eye on it and patrolling it while there's nobody using that facility like on the weekends. Because right now, I'm assuming that it's going to probably be Monday through Friday, but it could also, the need of the facility may kind of put them in a position that they may have to do something on Saturday as well. I'm not sure what the model of Centuro would be proposed.
What about a county sheriff monitoring?
Sorry, John?
What about the county sheriff doing some patrolling?
Well, they patrol our town. That's how we survive in town, with most of the time one officer and some two. Yeah, we do have the deputies driving through town as well. So it would be a partnership. Absolutely.
And I think what you're discussing, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, is the city's contractor monitoring that parking the way they do monitor city's public parking so that it can be available to the public. Is that correct? When the clinic is closed, so that it can be available to the general public and help Idaho Springs with its peak time on the weekend parking issues.
Correct. That's kind of what we've been talking about and looking at. Absolutely. Okay. Anybody else? All right. George, thanks for coming. And Carmen, is it okay if we get a thumbs up in providing a letter of support to the county to move to help to hopefully help get that last bit of that funding that is needed for that project? And if I think that this would help, which I do, when these foundations look at this, they want unison, they want consensus, not only between the city or just the county, but the counties and cities and municipalities. And if it's okay, Carl, I don't know, really not a formal vote, but just a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Is that okay?
Yes, Mayor, I think that'd be fine if council just wanted to give consensus about whether or not you would consider such a letter in support. That would be okay.
Okay. Thumbs up if you're for. Let's see. John, no thumbs up.
No.
Jim? No thumbs up, Jim?
Nope.
Okay. All right. George, as I've done in the past, if we didn't get consensus of council, then I don't feel comfortable with providing a letter of support.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Thank you. All right. We will move into.
If I may, Mayor, just real fast, and then I'll hop off here. Just want to say thanks to you guys for considering this, and I'm hopeful we can circle back and talk about it more. Jimmy, John, maybe I'll reach out to you individually, and we'll see if we can make any progress on this.
Okay.
Yes, please, George. Thank you.
George, thanks for coming.
Thank you, George.
Okay, let's move on. We've got Genevieve from the visitor center. She's going to kind of talk to us about how that they're planning on doing a reopening. And so you've got the floor, Genevieve.
You're on mute, Jen.
You.
She's gone.
Uh-oh. Well, this is.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Now we can.
Okay. Sorry. On the phone. I never know how to do this. So what I was saying is I am basically just here to pass along the current status and, of course, to answer any questions that you all have. Obviously, and as Mike said, discussing opening the visitor center, one of the things that we are wanting to keep in mind during all of this is, in addition to the services available through the visitor center, additionally the services and mission of the Historic Society. So, you know, that's been, obviously those quite often overlap beautifully, not every single time. So just, you know, kind of to throw that out there. But, what we're looking at is there are a couple of factors in this. And one of the big ones is that we are under contract with the Forest Service. And, while Lori and Scott and everyone are nothing but flexible and, cooperative as far as moving forward, well, they are in general, but they have not yet come up with a logistical plan or final stipulations for the parameters of opening to the public for Forest Service staff. Right now, they are being incredibly cautious. They are actually not even letting their staff go into the administrative buildings on 103 particularly. And, they're grappling with what things look like for the safety of not only their employees, but obviously the people with whom they interact. So we are, needless to say, first and foremost, waiting for a little bit more information from them, because we do feel strongly that we want to honor that relationship. It is certainly beneficial to ourselves and the city of Idaho Springs as a whole. And so we don't want to do anything that would, one of the things that came up is that if we were going to open that building without a Forest Service representative, we would have to change all of any indication of collaboration. The website, the signage, all of that would have to be taken down, and Forest Service, they would not be eligible to be part of anything. It would be false advertising, and understandably so, that if we're opening as a Forest Service building, we have to have Forest Service person. So needless to say, we are negotiating those waters as a major component. In the meantime, we are also discussing other ways to at least begin to provide services while we are sort of waiting for their decisions to come down the pipe. And one of them is to open just as a call center and allow our staff and potentially their staff to be in the building to field phone calls regarding both Forest Service information and Idaho Springs Visitor Center information. And we were thinking we could even make available materials through the vestibule during the time that we're open. We could disseminate maps. We could find a little way to put them outside in envelopes with people's names on them, just to be able to, to continue to provide some service to people in, the safest and most responsible manner that we can. So that is a thought as well. Needless to say, as I'm sure you are all more than aware, there are budgetary concerns to doing this, and we are, we're very much trying to be fiscally responsible in conjunction with, an effort to provide the services that we are here for and that the Forest Service is here for, and fulfill the mission of the Historic Society. So, as you can imagine, well, as you already know, that is not the easiest. There are no real straightforward answers with things right now. So, again, we are weighing our options on that. But the very bottom line is there is definitely forward momentum. There is a push to get open. We will certainly keep you all informed as decisions are made from the federal level and insofar as they impact us. And again, just that we are certainly trying very hard to continue in a forward direction during this period without jeopardizing the well-being of people, both our staff members, the public at large, the organization, and again, also Forest Service. So that's the gist of our current situation. Does anyone have any questions, or is there any further details you would like me to elaborate upon?
Is there any indication at all when the Forest Service may make a decision to begin to move forward?
It's unfortunately I don't have that. I mean, I'm sure there is, and I did leave a message for Lori Denton today because I was hoping I would be able to answer that exact question for you all. And unfortunately, she did not get back to me prior to this meeting, so I don't have anything. But, you know, they're talking about opening Mount Evans in July. My understanding is that Scott Hass feels that a month is necessary to have solid plans in place. So I suspect we're talking really any minute. I mean, today is the 1st, so if they are looking for a July opening of any of their parks, I would certainly think that this entire conversation would be conducted, you know, in a single scope, and certainly with regard to us, say, at least being able to do the call center. So I'm sorry, I don't, but I suspect it's much sooner rather than later.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, any other questions for Genevieve?
Genevieve, this is Andy. My understanding is that Forest Service properties are opening to the public. And with regard to Mount Evans, the main reason it's not opening until early July at the earliest is because the access road is a state highway, and CDOT made it clear they're not going to open it until early July. And that public still has access to the Forest Service property there, but vehicular access is restricted because the access road is a state road. So are you hearing something different about Forest Service facilities being closed more than I think they are?
The facilities, yes. The property, you're absolutely right. And people are eligible to hike and to recreate. I mean, of course, social distancing is encouraged and, you know, that sort of thing. But as far as the information desks, they have not yet opened to the public. And my understanding is depending, and again, you're talking about different, you know, we're Arapahoe, obviously, and I know that some other decisions have been made in adjacent national forests, but they are trying to kind of do these cohesively per Forest Service unit, you know, per representation. And right now, there are no Arapahoe Forest Service facilities or staff available to the public outside of, you know, internet and some phone response. Is my understanding.
Okay.
What are you hearing is open?
Andy, I think Genevieve asked you a question.
I just am aware that Forest Service properties are accessible, and I don't have details about facilities that are open, but I know campgrounds are opening and they have to be monitored. And of course,
yes.
What we're talking about here is a visitor center and information center. And so I guess it's a little unclear to me what the status is for the Forest Service, U.S. Forest Service.
So the campgrounds are currently the monitoring is being contracted out. Those are being done by independent contractors, and it's not actually the Forest Service performing the oversight. And that is largely due to the fact that they, as I've understood clearly from Lori, is that they are very much trying to get a plan in place as far as the safety of their staff and the people with whom they are interacting. So again, you can go hike, you can go recreate, you can go camp with the oversight of these other entities, but there's nowhere you can actually walk in and have a face-to-face with a Forest Service person. And that is what they are trying to facilitate via the safety parameters, the protocol that they want their staff to follow. And needless to say, I mean, I've been discussing with Lori different things like, you know, barriers. Do we need to have a full plexiglass barrier? Can we get away with masks? You know, are they mandating people's temperature be taken at the door, or is the mask enough? You know, obviously we intend first and foremost to adhere to any state standards that are in effect. And right now that is still, you know, largely the 10 people and 6 feet. And that is something that, you know, until we hear otherwise, both our ourselves and, you know, on behalf of the staff as well is more comfortable with that. But again, we are not entirely sure what the Forest Service is going to ask for, A, as a federal organization, and B, as, you know, the absolute necessity of coming into contact with people. I mean, you are handing them physical items, and there's no other way to do it for the most part. So I think they're just treading lightly and carefully and wanting to make sure that they have dotted their I's and crossed their T's as far as their opening plan and the safety of everyone involved.
Genevieve, I just wanted you to know on Friday, I thought it was very interesting. That was the first time that I had any knowledge that they had subbed out the management of the campgrounds. And I did see that it was under, another company had the contract to do that. So anyway, I thought, I was surprised, but I actually did see that Friday.
Right. Does that sufficiently answer your question, Andy?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Well, if you are all thinking about questions or not, the last thing that I did want to speak to you all about is the progress as far as the update of the sites and facilities agreement between the city and the Historic Society. And I just want to throw out that, you know, that is ultimately a necessary component. You know, we would like to continue progress on that, but among other things, you know, we're obviously all having to prioritize. So mainly I just wanted to communicate that that has not slipped our mind by any means, but, you know, we're kind of putting chickens first, ducks first. Anyway, we're navigating what needs immediate attention and, you know, designating those that can be dealt with later. And we would like to think that we could probably get back to the address of that in maybe a month or so, if that's agreeable to everyone.
Hey,
Thank you, Genevieve.
all right.
Of course. Anything else anyone would like to ask before I go?
All right, anybody? Okay, thanks for the update, Genevieve. We're
Of course.
ready to get the visitor center back up and going and operating.
We're trying.
Okay, thank you. All right,
Thank you all. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
evening.
All right, let's move into the Argo Public Improvement Agreement, and I'm gonna have to, I can't see I know it's gonna put a glare on me, but I can't see without
All
that.
right, I will step out at this point, Mike.
Well, thank you, Bob. Okay, Bob's out of here. Okay, hi Jan, how are you? Okay, so at our last regular meeting, we voted on the Argo gondola project going in. The project was approved, but there was some idea that we needed to have some more further discussion with the PIA. So that's what we are going to do tonight. Carmen has provided some documents for us, along with Diane providing the change in some language on this. And I just kind of want to open it up, and even if it is bringing up concerns about this from the other night. So the floor's open, and please feel free to speak up.
Mayor,
Yes.
you probably didn't mean me, but I thought I'd jump in. Mayor and council, I don't know who among you have the time during the day to get your emails. I know you're all very busy people, but just wanted to clarify that today I did send, and it was just today, my apologies for that, but I did send to each of you a slightly amended draft PIA that, again, I put this in my communication to you, is not something that Argo has agreed to, so I want to be clear about that, but we as staff tried to address some of what we thought we heard last week in terms of council's concerns about the last draft PIA. And we as staff therefore added some language, and I'll real quickly highlight the substance of it, so that if you have not looked at your email, you'll know what we as staff proposed to the Argo team today. And then I'll, of course, let Argo respond to that. But we as staff today sent to them a draft PIA slightly amended to clarify a few things. One, that it was the city's choice, not an obligation, or we want to propose that it be the city's choice, not an obligation, to accept or take the $400,000 offered in advance to construct the trail system. We as staff heard some council concerns that maybe the city didn't want that. So we added a little language saying, hey, that's the city's choice, whether or not you as council wish to accept that advance. And related to that, it remains and will always be the city's choice as to whether or not it will construct those trails, and when and if it will construct those trails, and from what funding. So that it was clear that it's not some sort of an obligation or a lock-in or a guarantee that the city would take the $400,000 advance. Also, to be very clear, we added a little language saying, in the event the city does accept that advance, the city shall be obligated to repay it from those gondola ticket proceeds only. That the city is not obligated, nor shall it ever be, to repay that advance with general fund dollars, with general taxpayer dollars. Those were kind of the things that we as staff heard were some concerns of council. So we put those in an agreement today and sent those to Argo. And again, I'll let Argo respond to those issues that we as staff proposed to them today, just to summarize for you as council. So I'm happy to answer any council questions or to throw it to Mike, Mary Jane, or the Argo team to give their update as well on the draft that was shared today.
So as Carmen said, and what we were trying to discuss the other night was that this money does not come out of our general fund. We've been planning to build these trails we design and for close to 4 years now. With the failing grant application, that kind of set us back on this. And, you know, right now, we all understand that the city is under financial times. And for us to say, oh, we're going to pony up that $250,000 to match right now, at this day and age, I'm sure council would support not to do that. But the language that is set up and that Carmen's discussing says that the city is not obligated to anything until profitability of the Argo starts to happen, and then it's paid back out of those ticket sales. So, you know, we, as a city, I'm going to say this as a personal, I believe it's advantageous that we have built or that we could build and go ahead and build those trails sooner rather than later for the benefit of our community, because I believe the Argo has put forward in good faith some things for our citizens and our county citizens to be able to use this park. I know that there's a lot of folks that which there was meetings about the V Camp, which is the Virginia Canyon Mountain Park, for many months when Alan was still here. And we had many meetings, lots of times it came to the council for a vote. Every one of them was passed. There was never a time that we said that this was not good for our city and something that would provide not only for us, but, you know, the tourists that are coming up here. And the risk on us, I like to play poker every once in a while, but I really like to play when I don't have any risk in it. And that's kind of where I stand on this. And I'm hoping that the council members that had questions about this would speak up so we could clarify and to see if there's anything else that you'd like to discuss or look at as we move forward.
Can I make a comment, Mike, or?
Mary, let me hang on a minute. Let me get council members first. They may say something that you may have to clarify.
So Jim said something at the last get together, and I know he's absolutely right when he said, is he missing something? Is it coming out of our pocket? Yes, it's coming out of our pocket, but as Carmen just explained, which pocket is it coming out of? It's coming out of funds, not the general fund, but funds that are generated off of ticket sales, if I'm not mistaken. If we build trails, are we not going to sell more tickets? I mean, it's going to magnify how many tickets are sold. Without the trails, we're going to bring in less income. Is that not right?
Well, Scott, if I could put even a finer point on that, as far as coming out of our pocket or what pocket it is, this venture has to reach profitability. And I wish them all the luck. I hope that they are amazingly successful. But if they don't reach profitability, none of this starts being paid back. We don't have anything to lose at all. This is $400,000 at zero interest. And it only starts to be repaid back at about 50 cents to 50 cents a ticket once they reach the profitability hurdle. So, you know, we're just being, it's an advance of 800,000 tickets once the profit hurdle had been reached, if it is reached.
And the other part of that is, even though they're not reaching profitability, the city will be receiving sales tax on this. So we will actually have revenue coming in that's not going to a trail system, that goes into our general budget to help us continue to do what we do in the city. So, and as Chuck was saying, it could take 10 years before they meet. I hope that's not the case, of course, but you know, in the case it was 10 years, then nothing, and the trails are built, it's operating, the city's generating sales tax revenue off the project, and we've got the trails built.
Yeah, I think I want to reiterate what the mayor has said, because we've looked at the numbers. I think it's really important to realize that if and when you move forward with that loan, the payback is from the gondola sales profit only. You're going to be getting the sales tax, you're going to be getting the use tax. There's a lot of additional revenue that is going to be coming to the city that is separate and apart from the gondola profit hurdle.
You're muted, Mike.
Well, and I think because of what you just said, I think it's a very generous offer that they're giving the city.
Very generous.
On the
Yes.
surface, that's what it seems.
Absolutely.
When it's time, I do have a question of you, Carmen. I think it's more of a legal question. Whenever anybody's ready to hear it. And I don't mean in any way to demean Mary Jane's enthusiasm, operation, or anything else, but I'm a realist. In the event, and unfortunately, I hope it never happens, that the operation doesn't succeed and files bankruptcy, and it goes to a bankruptcy court, the creditors will come to that judge, the bankruptcy judge, and try to attach any assets they can get from the bankruptcy. If that occurs, will this agreement not be considered an asset to a creditor, and the judge assign this agreement to that creditor for an opportunity for him or her to possibly collect any monies that they may lose in a bankruptcy? And does that not, if the judge does that, and I understand bankruptcy judges have a lot of latitude, if he assigns that to a creditor, are we now in a position where we will not be getting income to pay that loan off, and we will be on the hook to pay that creditor if it's assigned to him? I don't know if I made myself clear, but that's as clear as I can get.
Nope.
Good question. Wow. Yeah.
First, with the immense caveat that, man, if I could predict what a judge would do with any case, I probably wouldn't be on this call. But having said that, I can't predict judges or the outcome of litigation. Councilor Cacavelli, I think that's an interesting and a good question. And to the extent that this agreement, identifies and obligates the city's repayment obligations as being strictly tied to the profitability of this venture, then it would be my very best guess, my I hope educated guess, that the city would only be, quote, on the hook to repay that advance if the conditions of the agreement are met. In other words, if, let's say, a creditor undertook to operate the gondola and step into Argo's shoes and become the operator of the venture and then have it realize a profit. Again, if a meeting of the minds is achieved here in contract law, and it is quite clear what the city is obligated to use to repay this advance, then a judge should not, and I would hope would not, try to graft onto that agreement some language that's not there. In other words, that the city has to repay this from general funds. That is why we are proposing language that makes it quite clear from what revenue source and stream that the city is obligated to repay this advance. I hope
A bankruptcy's judge responsibility is his or her responsibility when a bankruptcy is filed is to the creditors, not to the person or corporation that's filing bankruptcy.
Correct, and the city is not filing bankruptcy in your example.
But they're but they are in, but that is part of the public-private circumstances that we're getting into.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm concerned because they do have a lot of latitude, bankruptcy judges, that they assign that to a creditor, and because the operation is no longer effective, they dissipate the assets to the creditors so they become as whole as they can, that a judge would see that this is an asset that a creditor has an opportunity to recoup his or her investment in that operation. And Mary Jane, I'm by far, I don't want that to happen, but I'm looking at circumstances that may, I just want to bring in front of this group, may occur. And I just want to make sure that we're not putting the city in any jeopardy under circumstances. When you look at what's going on in this country now with the bankruptcies and companies that never ever thought that they would be in that position. And when you listen and hear what is going back and forth between the creditors and the bankruptcy court, and of course the lawyers from the person or corporation that's filing bankruptcy, a lot of odd things happen. And what I'm getting out of it, and from what I've gathered, and I have spoken to a bankruptcy lawyer, those judges have a lot of latitude. And I just want to bring it up.
Yep.
for
Just one
conversation's
question
sake.
to Carmen.
And what I could, hold on one sec, please. And what I would say is to, fair enough that bankruptcy judges have latitude, but again, and the city would, I venture to say, we would be joined and would be asked by a bankruptcy court to respond to any kind of proceeding, and we would absolutely assert that the asset that you have identified that a creditor might want to latch onto, that is this revenue stream, this repayment stream from the city, is an asset that, if we're clear in the language of this agreement, only materializes in the event of certain preconditions, right, being met. And one of those, the main precondition is profitability of this operation, of this venture. I respect your comments. I could possibly not, can't predict what a bankruptcy judge would do. However, Councilor Cacavelli, I feel like we are protecting the city as much as we can with language that is very clear about the city's revenues, or the source of the city's obligation to repay and the prerequisites of the city's obligation to repay, which is profitability. But I appreciate your comments.
Okay, well, I just think, I don't want, although it's an agreement between us and the Argo Mines, in a bankruptcy, that agreement, the terms of that agreement may become null and void in lieu of it being an asset that's collectible. And I just want to make sure we've covered all our bases.
Yep.
Because I don't want to see us be on the hook for any money like that. That's my only concern. So if you feel comfortable with it, that's fine with me.
Carmen, I just have a clarification. Is it true? I mean, the way I read the PIA, it's very narrowly defined that the way in which that 400,000 no interest loan is paid is only through the gondola ticket revenue and no other source.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I'll just make a comment that the city has had Carmen's firm on for many, many, many years. And since I've been in, and I've never heard of their firm ever putting the city in a situation that we could be in trouble, get ourselves in trouble, and sink from it. I have full, and I'd be the first to tell you that if I didn't trust Carmen and I didn't trust their firm, we would have somebody else. So, and that's why we have legal counsel to keep us out of hot water and making sure that we're doing the things properly and also protecting the city for any liability on anything. So I'm very confident that Carmen understands this contract law and is not steering us down a road that we could get ourselves in trouble.
I'm sure she is. Bankruptcy, though, is a different area of the law, and it's very specific. And there's law firms that just deal in bankruptcies. So, I mean, it's something to be concerned about, and I just wanted to bring it up, and that was my only intent.
And that's what you're there for, and that's what you're there for. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great question. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that.
Thanks, Mike.
Anybody else? Jim, do you have some questions that you would like to ask Carmen or the Argo team, or Andy or I, that maybe we might know something? You're on mute, Jim. Nope, still on mute.
We call him.
And I have no idea how to get off of mute on a phone. John, do you have any how to do that, John Kane?
Looking right now. Hold on one sec.
While John's working with Jim, any other council members have any questions or thoughts?
Oh, there it goes.
There you go. We got you now, Jim. Go ahead.
Good. I'm good.
Yeah, you're good.
Hear you. You have some comments.
Cool. I just have to say the way this was presented tonight really cleared up a lot of things. And I would like to thank Brian, Mary Jane, Barb, and Carmen, you, Mayor, and the rest of council as well. I don't know why, but maybe it just took me a few weeks to get it through my brain that this is the way that was going to be on the $400,000 thing. So, you know, it wasn't the money, it wasn't the amount or anything else. It wasn't the tact of how they were moving forward with the project. It was, how about the people of, you know, the citizens of Idaho Springs? The way this is now, just like you said, Scott, you as well, and thank you guys. This doesn't come directly out of debt service for us. I mean, it's no money up front. It's no, the Argo spending the money up front. We're dependent on their success to pay this back to them. That I understand. That's kind of a no-brainer in my mind as to how this project moves forward. Once again, thank you for clearing it up, Mary Jane, as well, Mayor, Barb, Brian, Carmen, everybody else. Scott, you too. I think I'm good. So I appreciate the time to talk about it and speak. Art, you had some really good points too. I think that's the most extreme thing it could probably ever be, but it certainly is a topic. So anyway, for that being said, thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Okay. So as Carmen said, she sent out a email earlier. I just kind of, when I sat down on the meetings, I pulled up my emails and I saw it. So I was aware of the language that Carmen has provided. And if everybody's comfortable with going ahead and moving forward with that language and getting the PIA in place so they can start moving on with their project.
Mike, we just have a couple of comments, Mr. Mayor and Council. And thanks for hearing us tonight. Appreciate it, everybody virtually once again. Just a couple things. There's no concept of timing on this deployment of the 400K, and we'd like to see some language in there that where the city commits to spending those dollars in a time frame that supports completion of the initial trails with the gondola opening, so that you know, so I know we're all in alignment, and it's just not addressed here, and we think would be good to see that language written in. And then secondly, just that you know, both the PD and the DA, the development agreement, address revenue share for trail construction, maintenance, and parking, but it's really not resident in this document that the 50 cents is dedicated or committed to those three areas. So we'd like to see that added just for the purpose of clarification. Other than that, I think we're in great shape here. Mary Jane, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to add for Jimmy and Art's benefit specifically, and for Chuck, that
Love you, babe.
you know, this over 3 years ago, and we've been following this. The reason we came up with the gondola idea and the city came up with the trails idea is that the city had all these trails and we said, why don't we build a gondola? So the joint applicant, the joint beneficial use resonated with us a little over 3 years ago. And we've been working towards this together and separately for 3 years. And the only reason we're willing to front this 400 grand is that we believe we will be successful, but it's also goes back to our basic intent with the city and the Argo being co-applicants and wishing to get this done together. Had the city been successful in their $250,000 grant last year, we wouldn't be putting forward this offer.
Yep. And Mary Jane, that being said, I very, very, very much appreciate how that's articulated towards the people of the town. You could see where I was coming from, maybe not. But no. I appreciate that and thank you.
I as well, Mary Jane. I wasn't trying to be the negative person. I was just trying to create options that may occur and that we had it covered. So.
Well, the intent is to make us all very successful in all kinds of ways, not just money.
All right.
Yes.
Agreed.
Okay, well, thanks Argo team for being with us tonight. It's good seeing you again. And we will get this all done and get it into the FDP, and hopefully y'all will start in the near future.
And Mayor,
Yes.
so is this council consensus to, again, with Brian's suggested clarifications, which I think are fine, is it council consensus to return this for in final form for approval a week from today?
That was my intent.
Okay, great. I just wanted to be clear. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Carmen. All right, let's move on. We've got a few things that we can get through pretty quick. So John, let's
Bob back.
oh, I'm sorry, Jan. Yes, call Bob back.
Hold on a minute. Hey, Bob.
Thanks, Barb. All right, welcome back, Bob. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give an update on the downtown marketplace. We our recovery group met this afternoon and talked through some things about how we're moving forward. They are gearing up and preparing how they're going to do their operation. We've had how many applications in, John?
I'm not sure. Diane would probably know better than me.
Diane, how many applications have we had?
6. 3 have completed and are ready to go, and 3 are still in the wings.
Okay, so people are realizing it. Everybody seemed very excited about doing this. We had interstate parking lot with us today. What the group wanted to see and thought would be first and foremost beneficial to our community and protecting what we have accomplished to giving them relief for parking in front of their house and relieving themselves, pun intended. So what we thought would be the best is we're going to extend the parking hours. So the first hour will be for free. And it was 30 minutes. So the first hour for free, the second hour will be $1. The third hour will be $2. And then if they stay that fourth hour, it'll be $5 an hour after that. The reason that we decided to do the accelerator earlier and that I was explaining to them is with losing 70 parking places on Minor Street, this hopefully will be an attempt to try to get those to turn over faster. You know, all of a sudden they get to their fourth hour and and then pay them $5 an hour after that. And I believe that everybody on the panel agreed, and we bounced back and forth. And we even had somebody said we should start that $5 an hour, or that fourth hour at the be $10 an hour. And we kind of balked on that. We didn't think that was a good idea because we sure didn't want to run folks off that would come back in the future. So I think it's going to be a good plan. As always, it's an adaptive management. We can tweak it if we see something that's not working, or that's working that we, or something we can change to make it work better. This will also allow, and we still have not heard from Interstate, unless Andy heard today, about we'll still be on the monthly contract. And we want to be able to have somebody out there to enforce our residential areas so that they don't get overrun. If we don't bring somebody out here, that's what's going to happen. So this is a way to protect our citizens and keep their quality of life that we've created last year, keeping it going. So everybody will be able to, from the curb line in front of their building, come out 12 feet into the road, minus the extra distance on a bump out. They'll have to accommodate for that. And only, I think those are 2-foot bump outs, so they'll have only 10 foot in that area. They're very excited. They all said that there was movement this weekend. Of course, only getting 50%, almost 50 people into their establishments are still going to continue to hurt some of our businesses downtown. I know that there is at least 3 or 4 businesses that aren't going to open yet. They're still just going to kind of ride it out a little bit longer to see how the summer business comes up. We also talked about if we were getting overcrowded, we could actually shut down some more of those parking places to try to slow down, if you will, the visitors in town with less parking places. Of course, I'm hoping that, and I did see this weekend that most of the people were complying with wearing masks. At my business at the East End, I had a sign up that you said that you had to wear a mask to your table. Everybody was complying. If somebody went to the restroom, they put their mask on like I asked, and very compliant. I was very pleased with the way it went. And that's the same feedback that we got from the downtown businesses. John, Andy, am I missing anything? Oh, one thing I'll say, we did mail out everybody that has a business license throughout the whole city, East End and West End. Everybody did receive a application, if you will, the encroachment agreement form, and directions on, if you have a liquor license, the process that you need to go through to be able to modify your premises and continue to serve liquor out in those areas. John?
We have flowers coming on Thursday, which we're going to use for some of the barricade action on the streets, on the avenues.
So if anybody feels like they want to get out and help put out flowers, more than welcome to help. So as every year, it's exciting because we know how beautiful our downtown looks once we get those flowers out. John, thanks for both Johns. I know that John's going to have to put his crews on some of that as well. We're going to have to figure out how to keep them watered with this summer, and without at this point hiring somebody to work the 2 part-time positions over the summer, that could be difficult. We also talked about opening Citizens Park bathrooms and potentially Courtney Riley Cooper Park bathrooms. We know how needed they are. Everybody, the chief told us that people are going to come and go, and they were just using the restrooms and leaving. And they've actually put a sign on their door now that restrooms are only for customers. So we see the need. As soon as we hear back from the county public health of how, right now restaurants have to wipe down their bathrooms every hour. We're not sure if that is going to be the same schedule that the county is going to require us to do. So Andy has put out call and emails to Charlotte Hampson, and we're just waiting on a response for that. And they do, I haven't looked at the agenda, but on Tuesdays, the Board of County Commissioners does meet with that health group and get some information, and hopefully we can get that out to us and get those restrooms open on Wednesday.
Mayor, if I may, I have seen submissions that have been approved with other counties that called for 2 hour. So I would think that if we committed to an hour, I would have every reason to believe that would be accepted.
Is there committing to 1 hour each hour?
Yes, I've seen the state approve other counties with 2 hour. So, 1 hour is even better, but I would certainly think that, 2 hours or less is going to meet with approval.
Okay. All right. Any questions, council? Any comments?
Yeah, so are they gonna use their own tables and stuff, or we scratched the picnic table idea, or is that still?
So John Bordoni, I'm going to ask him again, do we get the tables yet? We give him a hard time. So
I think I'll leave it on mute.
Do what?
I think I'll leave it on mute. I have not received the tables. I received the
bill,
trash cans and the barricades, but I have not received the tables yet.
You have received the additional trash cans that we're going to be using?
Yes, I got those today.
Okay, great. So to answer your question, Art, most of the businesses, restaurants want to, with the way that they would like to set up with social distancing, they feel that they can get more tables in by not having an 8-foot table and with the benches attached to it. So most of them are opting to buy their own and provide their own furniture. However, there has been a couple of downtown businesses that were interested because maybe they can only get one in front of their place, or two because of the linear frontage of their building. So they have asked if that was possible. Of course, the flip side of that is we know that the businesses that are going to get the modifications and get their own furniture out there will have to maintain them, as well as if we loan, we're calling it a loaner picnic bench, the people that borrow them from the city will be responsible for cleaning those and maintaining them throughout the day and the business hours. And the question came up, well, what if somebody gets a to-go order and comes and sits down at the table in front of my place? And I said, well, you got a couple of options. You can go out there and ask them to leave. That, this is for use. Hang a sign on it that says, this business only use. Thank you. And I think people will understand. This next phase of that is if we, and I see that we could potentially, because John's crews can't go out and crew members can't go out and wipe bathrooms down 1 hour or every other hour. So we see the need that we'll probably still go ahead and advertise for a couple, hopefully local people that are looking for jobs to help us maintain the bathrooms, and also have the potential of putting some of these picnic benches in areas and have them do the wiping. So when somebody sits, they get a to-go order from the cidery and they go over there and sit down and use it. We've got the staff there that are cleaning the bathrooms that they can go over there and disinfect the table for the next customer to come up. So
good idea. Good idea. I'm glad I thought of that.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything I'm missing, Andy?
No, I think you covered it. Thank you.
All right. Now we have this nuisance ordinance that Chief has presented to us. I think it's a great idea. Once a bear or wildlife gets into a dumpster or trash, it's easy pickings. They're going to come back. I get that here. The restaurants have the same thing, and we see all the time where we get pictures of bears getting into personal trash cans too. So we are working on this ordinance, this nuisance ordinance, and putting language in there that wildlife protective trash cans will need to be used, and not just during the course of when the bears pick up, but all the time, because bears aren't our only problem. So how is that going to be on our next meeting, Andy? And do we have any comments or questions about that from council?
Yeah, one, when you put up the fence or the structure, does that require a building permit?
A structure around a trash container?
It says, well, 4 sides.
Yes.
And with a cover, so you're gonna have to get a building permit.
You would have to get a full permit. Yes, absolutely. It'd require a building permit because there's going to be footers that have to go 3 feet in the ground. So yes, it would be required to have a building permit.
Well, I can't do that because I got fiber optics right where my trash is. So what am I gonna do there? So that's my problem. But anyways.
Hey, can you hear me? This is Chris here. Can you hear me?
Oh, gee, yes.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
So
I wish you would announce
yeah,
yourself.
yeah, I'm sorry. I've been listening in. I'm here in Westby, Wisconsin for the night, and I've had some difficulty logging in on Kara's iPad. So the thing is the containment, the fenced in areas, that is not, if I'm not mistaken, that is not mandated. But if people opt to do that, that's what it must look like. But the big thing is that the containers must be secured, and different vendors, I know Doyle has marketed a way to secure those cans with a drill, a cordless drill in a snap link to secure the cans. So that's the big thing. Some businesses or residences that opt to secure their cans in a container, that's what they're referring to, because it's not practical for everybody to have one of those in front of their house. If anybody wants to see what one looks like for a dumpster, just drive on the south side of the rec center and you'll see what they did with, it's fenced in on 3 sides and it has a chain in the front, which I think is ample, that it prevents the bear from pulling out the dumpster and rolling it down the street. Some of the steel commercial dumpsters, of course, they come with mechanisms that you can insert a padlock or a snap link to keep them from being open. So I didn't want this to be too complicated, but in light of all the complaints we've received and the fact that there are people who truly are irresponsible with their trash, I think it's a good strategy to protect our wildlife as well as our residents.
So I just put an anchor in the ground and use a bungee cord over the top, and the bear, I mean, he's knocked it a couple sideways a little bit, but he never never gets it open.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's what we're looking for, is we want people to, make the effort, to effectively just keep the bear from getting the garbage can open. Other folks have put a post in the ground, and all they do is secure the can to the post with the lid secured so the bear can't move the can or the post.
Yep.
And Mayor and Council, if I could, on a personal level, because the bears seem to like Virginia Street an awful lot, and I've had my experience with it. There is a local company that has designed a bear-resistant trash can that works great. It's just 2 little pins that go in there, and I have witnessed a bear just dancing that trash can all over Virginia Street and still couldn't get into it. So I'm 100% sold on these trash cans.
Diane, I agree. I'm on Virginia and have the same problem. And yep, 1 little pin, drill hole, pin, snaps over, piece of cake, done deal.
They can't figure it out for some reason.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
He's not the average bear.
Diane, you're very funny.
I know, I try.
Very funny. Very, get it? All right. Last item, we must be getting tired because we're, John, real quick, will you give us an update of where we are on our new website and how much longer before it'll be fully operational?
Yes, sir.
Mayor, excuse me, John. you'd like to move forward with this ordinance at our next meeting, is that correct?
Well, yes, is that consensus of council to move forward with this ordinance? Okay. I said
Yeah, a
yes.
lot of people understand it. They don't have to build a whole big structure and get variances and all that stuff, you know, just the simple things like we talked about.
Right, John, you're on.
Mayor and council, we have a website that's offered from the state. We've had it for a few years. It's free. I'm going to put a screen share of what it looks like currently onto my screen. Can everybody see it?
Yep.
Okay, great. This is our current website. It's got some limitations. It's free, which is great. It has a lot of information on it, but it's very difficult to find stuff. We have this kind of scrolling area here on the front, and then it kind of goes down, and we've got some other stuff down here and a bunch of menus. So it's a pretty basic website. It's worked fairly well, but one thing that has happened is it's very difficult. This is our city council page where you can stream our videos. We have all our forms and documents and everything. It's not the most attractive website, and it doesn't work particularly well for finding stuff. So what we've done is gone to the state's new platform, and I've been working on this website for about 6 weeks. This is what it looks like now. So this is the new version of the website. And what I've done here is try to condense information and make it easier to find. We still have this scrolling aspect. Can everybody see the new site here?
Mhm.
Okay, this is a scrolling aspect. It can have pictures or information. So this is similar to what we have on our current site. I've just kind of put some pictures from around town in here just to make it, look like a website. Down here, these are our most used applications for the website. So we have meetings, online payments, court, COVID updates, parking. Those can change. They can be anything. But what I tried to do is make this very condensed and easy, so you don't have to be scrolling or anything like that. Up here, we still have the same kinds of functions. So you've got mayor and council here, board commissions, task forces, forms and documents, code, watching meetings. We've got all our departments listed here. I've also added this section for how do I, because oftentimes we find people just don't know how to do things on the website or at City Hall. So my intention is this could be like a way to learn about using the website or using City Hall and who to talk to and that kind of thing. We also have this really cool contact page now. Some of this may change. It's still kind of I don't know why it did that with the red mark there. I apologize. But basically what we can do is have contact information for everyone. I got Andy a picture here so you can kind of see what that looks like. But you can have phone number, email address, kind of information about what you do. This can go on different pages. And I think it's going to be really good for us because we can put more information in more places for people. And then we have this event section too, which is really cool. So I put our city council meeting in here. We can populate this with events around town or council meetings or whatever happens. But basically it just gives you a little blurb about what's happening, tells you where to watch the meeting. You can go straight to that city council live page where people can watch, for instance, this meeting. And that's pretty much what I've been trying to do. I don't want to take up too much of your time. It's been a long meeting already, but if you had any questions or any suggestions for how this might look better or work better or things you've always wanted, I'm happy to take them. One other thing I want to note is I do have the ability now with this website to collect email addresses. So we've been talking about creating a platform to communicate with people better. That's going to be baked into this website from the very beginning. So basically, one of these buttons likely will be contact us or some kind of, have us send you an email thing, which will have a form, which will give us a list so that we can begin gathering that information.
Hey, John, I got a question.
Sure.
With our new, Diane, you're gonna have to help me with that, the muni, so we don't have to codify. It automatically does that for us. How will that work with this? Will our municipal code be real time?
Yes, sir. So under this, your government, if you click municipal code, it's also, I can put it in other places. So I'm trying to make sure everything is easy to find as possible. If you click this, it goes straight to our code. This page I'll change. So when it's done, it'll go straight to here. So it'll look like it's built into our website.
Okay.
And then from here, you can search the code or look at whatever you want to do.
And if I don't remember if we did this before, I think it was before new council members came on, but this was something that Diane sought out and found that it's much easier for us to update our municipal code when we have changes. when we do ordinances and resolutions, it's easy to have those go right in there instead of how often did we do that, Diane? About each quarter, twice a year, codify our municipal code. And that took a lot of time on Diane's part to do that. So with that new muni code, it really helps streamline that work. Does anybody have any questions about our new website that will be soon up and running?
Yeah, John, I think it's looking really, really good. I congratulate you on your effort here. And I was just wondering if you're looking at any particular launch date or roughly.
Yes, sir. I have a contract with the state to be done by June 30th. I anticipate it will be totally live and migrated by August 1st.
Great. I think it looks terrific.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you, John.
Good job,
I'd love
John.
to do something with these sliders, maybe some kind of contest around town and have people submit pictures. I think that could make it really cool to have some more, user content on there like that. But we have a lot more options. So this, I think as we go, this will evolve into something pretty cool. One last thing I just want to bring to your attention. If you look up in the corner here, the seal is very small. And the reason is that this image needs to be redigitized for like modern computers. It's a digital image, but it's not what is required for like this kind of new technology. It's going to cost about, I think, no more than $200 to fix this. And so I've been trying to find a really, cost-effective way to get this done, so we can just make sure that the seal is of a quality that's good enough for kind of modern web use.
All right. I've got a trivia question for everybody before we dismiss. Does anybody know where that mural's at?
I do.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Who knows? Raise your hand. Well, now I know where all y'all bank at. So, all right. Time for any final comments before we adjourn. Does anybody have anything to say?
It's not the city council leaving town, apparently.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks everybody, and have a good rest of your week. And Andy, you have something?
Yes, I just wanted to let council know that we'll be sending a mailing here shortly to all water and sewer users, and that's like about 1,100 accounts, I believe. And you'll have several items in there, but included, we took this opportunity with this special mailing to start soliciting residents and other users of the water and sewer system, may not be residents, but just owners who would like to submit their email and or phone number to the city, so we can start building the database that John was just referencing to build up a better public engagement system. And so although we're not quite ready to launch that, we said this is a great opportunity to reach a lot of the residents, not all of them, but those who get water and sewer bills, to start getting their information. And then when we get this new, we get the website up and we get our new public engagement system up and running, we will have a pretty good list of ways of people and ways to communicate with them, either by phone and or email. So I just want you to know that we are actively working on that. And I just would like to give one more shout out to John and all the work he's put in on this, on the website. It's going to be a tremendous improvement, and it's something we really needed to do. But again, without John's expertise, we likely would have had to contract this out and spend a lot more money. So once again, John is giving us great return on our investment. So thank you, John.
Yeah, thank you, John.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thanks.
John. That's a great idea with the emails.
Thanks, John.
All right. Everybody have a good, thanks, Barb. You're still on, or was. Chief, thanks for joining us. I'm sorry I didn't recognize your phone number, but thanks for being with us, and have a safe trip. And, we'll see you when you get back.
Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. So everybody have a great night.
All right. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
All right.
Good night.
Good night, all.